Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Charlotte e oggi faccio un video un po' diverso perché non sono nell'ufficio mio, sono invece in Italia in questo momento quando registro il video. Allora, studiamo una citazione che ho trovata, ma non so chi l'ha scritta, ma è abbastanza ben conosciuta. Okay, everyone, so this, I wonder if you can see this. I haven't got my usual printout today. I've got a bit of an issue with the tech that I have available here, but I am in Italy at the moment, as I'm recording the video, and this is the handout that I've done this month. So we'll be looking at a quote in Italian. I believe it's in Italian. I'm not sure who wrote it because all the different versions of it I find, and there's various versions, seem to be anonymous or autore sconosciuto, right? So author unknown. So if you know who wrote this, please tell me. A little bit of more digging deeper and I might find out. So we're going to call it Imparate a fare silenzio sulla vita degli altri. Okay, so I'll read you. I haven't got my whiteboard, I've had to improvise with the lid of a box. But luckily I do have some resources, papers, pens, carta, le penne, etc. Okay, so I'll read out the quote and then we'll look at it together, and we'll also see a verb, and we'll see if we have time to do some exercises like come si dicono queste parole. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh, prima cosa, ascoltate, ok? E ve la leggo. Imparate a fare silenzio sulla vita degli altri. Occupatevi della vostra. Non abbiate la convinzione di essere migliori o di poter giudicare, perché le più grandi fregature nascono sempre dall'essere troppo sicuri, sempre convinti di essere un gradino al di sopra degli altri. Siate umili e solo allora sarete grandi. Now, I really like this. I really like this. Next time, a novembre, I will do a video on a poem that I found. I went for a hike recently, and at the end of the hike there was a sculpture trail which I've seen before, and there's some new sculptures there, I think, and I found a sculpture with some poetry written on it, and it was absolutely beautiful. It made me cry. Mi ha fatto piangere davvero. È stato un momento bellissimo. So we're going to look at a poem which starts off with cara ragazza, okay, and then it talks about learning. It's good that you're learning, and it seemed just so relevant. So next time we're going to further this notion of imparare, to learn, and we're also going to look at a lovely Italian language poem, and I'll see if I can get through it without crying, okay? Okay, so let's see. Imparate a fare silenzio. Sorry, this is my gaffer tape. That's the way I'm sticking this to my box lid. But I do have some of my daughter's pens which I'm going to use to underline things. So all the verbs, I'll put a little red line under them. Imparate. So you'll see in this content, this quotation, that the verbs, I think most of the verbs that we see that are not in the infinitive, they will be in the voi form, in the present tense, I think. Yeah, because it's addressing you all. Voi plurale, okay? So it's not using the tu form, which is a singular, informal way of saying you, and it's not using the lei form, which is the singular, formal form of address. It's using voi, so it's addressing you all of you, you guys, okay? So we've got lots of endings that have ate. For example, imparate, so learn, imparate a fare silenzio sulla vita degli altri. So just learn to, be quiet about other people's lives, like fare silenzio, You don't talk. Don't talk. Learn not to talk about other people's, or not to be quiet about, I suppose. So it's not necessarily about talking as such or not talking. It's just like maintaining silence. Imparate a, learn to, plus the infinitive fare. Silenzio means silence. Sulla vita degli altri. Now, what we're going to see here, I've underlined it with a squiggle. We have these combined, well, that pen's almost dead, combined prepositions. So that's where you get the preposition that might be di, or it might be a, it might be su or in, and then they change form when they meet an article, like for example, il, la, lo, l apostrophe, le, I, li. There's lots of different articles depending on whether the noun that you're introducing with the article is like the word the or the in front of the noun. The type of article you use will depend on the gender and the number of the noun that follows, but it will also possibly have a change of, or it might also be a different article than il or la, I or le. If, for example, it starts with a vowel. So nouns that start with a vowel in Italian, instead of having il or la in front of them, will have l apostrophe. And if it's a masculine noun that starts with an S plus a consonant, or with a Z, for example, then instead of il being the word the, you'll have the word lo, L-O. So you need to know your articles. You need to know the noun that you're using, the article, the word the that goes in front of it, and then you'll need to know the preposition that you're using, whether it's from, at, in, on, of, okay? And then those prepositions, like for example, di, preposition di can mean of or from, but normally it means of. And then the article la, di plus la becomes della. If you have the article a plus il, like I'm going to the park, vado a plus il. Vado a means I'm going to, and il would precede the word parco, for example. Vado a il parco, no, non si può dire, ok? Vado al parco, a più il fa, o fano, insieme fano, al, okay? Right, I'm used to looking over here at myself on the monitor, but actually I'm using a phone at the moment, so I should be looking there where the camera is. Guardo qua, okay? So we have lots of combined prepositions, and sometimes they're called articulated prepositions. That's where the article and the preposition meet and they change they merge together and they change into a different word. Okay, so we'll see that. Here we have it, for example. Degli is where the preposition di, do a little bit of prepositional maths. Di means of, plus li, which is the article which comes before masculine plural nouns that start with a vowel. So we've got the word altri. Li also precedes words that are masculine, plural, and that start with an S plus a consonant or a Z or various other things. But you can look that stuff up, okay? Focus on the fact that di plus li, you wouldn't say la vita di li altri. Instead of saying di li, this becomes degli altri, D-E-G-L-I, degli altri. La vita degli altri, other people's lives, or le vite degli altri, for example, the lives of others. That's a film, I think. The Lives of Others, Other People's Lives, is a name of, or the English name, or the English title of a German film, which is actually a really good film. Non so come si chiama in tedesco, mi dispiace, but The Lives of Others, Other People's Lives, good film. Go and watch it. Okay, so degli and altri is an example of a combined or an articulated preposition. So we've also got sulla. Imparate a fare silenzio sulla vita degli altri. Okay, so learn to be quiet on other people's lives, on the lives of others. So there we have su, which kind of means on, like sulla tavola. And then we have la vita degli altri. And then su plus la, I've written it twice. Su plus la becomes sulla. So what happens is su stays the same, then you add an L, and then la comes after it, and it's one word. Sulla, nella, alla, della, dalla. Okay, sul, nel, del, dal, al. So I'll try and remember to put a link to like an articulated or a combined preposition table. Okay, you can find one if you type in articulated prepositions or combined prepositions Italian table, like a table of all of them. There's loads. Don't get scared by them, but they do start making sense, and you see them everywhere in Italian. So let's have a look. Imparate, learn, in the void form. A fare, to be quiet about, basically. Sulla vita degli altri. Occupatevi, occuparsi. So this is like, it's telling people, it's the imperative. Imparate a fare qualcosa. Learn to do something. It's telling you to do something. This one here is the same, but this is a, what do we call this? Come si dice? What is this thing called? A reflexive verb. Can't think sometimes. I know what I mean, but I can't always say the right thing. Occupatevi. So occupate is the verb occupare in the voi form. Occupate. And then vi is the reflexive pronoun that refers to voi. So busy or occupy yourselves. When it's in the imperative, that a verb in the voi form in the imperative, or actually most of the reflexive verbs, when it's in the imperative form, the preposition, not the preposition, the reflexive pronoun, there you go, it's important to get these words right, the reflexive pronoun tacks onto the end of the conjugated verb. So it basically means busy yourself or occupy yourself with. So here we actually have the preposition di plus the preposition la. Occupatevi di la vostra. Di and la becomes della vostra. So occuparsi di, occuparsi di is to busy yourself with, occupy yourself with. In English, we say occupy yourself or concentrate on, occupy yourself with. So we use the preposition with. But here they use occuparsi di qualcosa. So not all prepositions that are associated with verbs translate in the same way. It's not occuparsi con qualcosa, it's occuparsi di qualcosa. And because it's di, and then the thing that comes after it is a feminine thing. It's referring to la vostra vita. It doesn't say occupatevi della vostra vita, but it's la vostra. And because we've already mentioned la vita of others, the life of others, when you say occupatevi della vostra, it's, what's the word? Oh God, I can't think of the word. Not implemented. I mean, it's just clear, it's evident. Because you've already referred to la vita, it's, what's the word? Oh, I'm not doing very well, am I? I'm just mixing my languages. Insinuated? Inferred? Implied. It is already implied that we're talking about your life. when you say occupatevi della vostra. So let's have a look. Imparate a fare silenzio sulla vita degli altri. Learn to be quiet about other people's lives, or to stay quiet, or just stay quiet. It's to do with being silent or not speaking. Occupatevi della vostra. Focus on your own. Busy yourself. Occupy yourself with your own life. Non abbiate la convinzione. So non abbiate is the verb avere, which is to have in the voi form, but it's in the negative imperative. It's telling you, so instead of saying avete, non avete, like that's just the present indicative. Ho, hai, ha, abbiamo, avete, hanno. So that's the present tense and the indicative of the verb avere, which means to have or like to get. Okay, to possess. But here, instead of saying non avete, non abbiate. So this is an imperative, right? And it looks like it's basically the same as the subjunctive, present subjunctive. So non abbiate la convinzione. So don't have the conviction. So don't believe, don't be convinced. Di essere migliori. Don't believe that you're better. Don't believe yourself to be, di essere. Essere is the infinitive verb which means to be, right? So avere and essere are auxiliary verbs. You need them when you form different like compound tenses. Like ho mangiato is I have eaten. Sono stato or sono stata, I have been. Okay, so when you're talking in the past tense, you need either the present tense of avere or the present tense of essere plus a past participle. Okay, so you should know or you should be familiar with avere and essere, and that is essere. Non abbiate, so don't have the conviction of being better, migliore. So here it's in the plural because it's addressing you all in the plural. So essere migliori o di poter giudicare, or to be able to judge. So here we have potere, which means to be able to. Sometimes that translates as can. I'm not sure that I can do something. Poter giudicare. So giudicare means to judge. Okay? So, non abbiate la convinzione di essere migliori o di poter giudicare. I don't think this is finished yet, so little ellipsis. Don't believe, don't be convinced, don't have the conviction of being better or being able to judge. Okay, so that's the first bit. Oh, I've just written on there. No! Is this the right one? Perché le più grandi pregature. Yeah. So what I've done here is I've stupidly written in the corner of this, but I'll just hide it with my hand. So, don't believe, non abbiate la convinzione di essere migliori. I should show you that word migliori. That's the plural. So the word better, like the comparative adjective better. Adjective? Migliore. Migliore. That means better. Now, you can use that for something feminine or masculine if you're saying that it is better. Migliore. So it's got an E on the end. So in the plural, the E becomes an I. That's the same in irregular nouns, like ristorante becomes ristoranti in the plural. But ristorante is a noun, it's a thing. Migliore is like the word grande. It's an adjective, so it describes something. Grande, we'll see that here actually. Grande can mean like big, it can mean tall, but it can also mean great, okay, as in wonderful or even powerful. So in the plural, grande would become grandi, even if you're talking about something It's feminine. In fact, I think we've got, we're just about to see an example of that right here, right now. So, don't believe that you're better than other people or that you're able to judge. No, no, no. Perché, my little note about prepositional, articulated preposition tables. Perché, because. Le, più le, because the thing that's going to be described now, the next thing that's going to be mentioned is a feminine plural word. Le, più, the più grandi fregature, because the biggest, più grandi fregature, the biggest scams, the biggest frauds, okay, quite a negative word this, it's actually a feminine word, so le fregature would be scams or the frauds, right? The things that aren't to be believed, basically. We've got più after le, because this is a, what is the word? It's not a comparative, it's a superlative, something that is the most or the least something. Le più grandi. So here, instead of saying grande, which is the greatest or the biggest, we've got grandi, because it's a plural thing. The biggest scams, with an S at the end in English. Le più grandi fregature, so the biggest scams, nascono, that's from the verb nascondere, 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 that means to hide. Nascosto. Oh, scusa, mi nascondo. Eccomi. Mi nascondo. Nascosto, nascosta is the past participle. Quite an irregular past participle, so go and check it out if you like that verb. Nascondere, to hide. Because the biggest, the greatest scams or frauds hide, always hide, dall'essere troppo sicuri. Ooh. Hide behind, or hidden by, hide behind. So this doesn't say dietro, like literally behind something, but we have the preposition da. Nascono sempre dall'essere, essere, right, un essere. So essere in its infinitive form is the verb to be. But if it's un essere, it's a noun, a being. Un essere umano, a human being, for example. This means a person, basically. So, don't, what did it say? Don't be convinced. Non abbiate la convinzione. Don't be convinced, or don't have the conviction of being better or being able to judge the lives of others. Perché le più grandi fregature nascono sempre dall'essere troppo sicuri. So, because the greatest frauds, or fraud or scams, hide behind a person who is troppo, means too much of something, too confident. Sicuro can also mean like safe or sure, but here we're going to say like it means confident, too self-confident. Sicuri, because we're talking about, this happens in Italian. I'm not quite sure how to explain this, but when you're talking about people in general, like here, we're not talking about a single person, we're talking about generally. You will often see the adjective which describes un essere in the plural. I wonder if that's because un essere could be masculine or feminine. I'm not quite sure how to explain this. I'm not sure I know the answer, but I have mentioned it before in another video, maybe a few videos. But this is something you'll see. It will be in the plural form of that adjective when you're generally talking about something. Okay, so I'll try and remember that and look into it and be able to explain it to you or provide a link so that you can read more about that. Don't be too worried about that. That happens. So, troppo sicuri. So, the greatest scams can always, sempre, hide behind a person or a being who is too confident. Sempre convinti, always convinced, convinti, di essere, of being, convinti o convinto di essere, sono convinta di essere, I am convinced that I am. We'd structure that in a different way. Convinto di essere, convinced of being. So we would use like the gerund, like the ing form of the verb, convinced of being, but in Italian they use the infinitive, which is why sometimes an Italian might say convinced to be a step above the others or a step ahead of the others. Whereas in English we think, it's not convinced to be. You are not convinced to be a step ahead of the others, you're convinced of being. So we use the preposition of, but we don't then follow it with an infinitive verb. We follow it with the present participle, the ing form of the verb, of being. Un gradino, a step. Al di sopra di means above, or maybe like there's a sense the sopra is above. Al di sopra di is like a set phrase. But then we've got li altri. So this translates as literally a step ahead of others. So if you're a step ahead of others, it means you're like as if you know better, you're better informed, that you're more prepared, that you're cleverer, that you're more intelligent, okay? So, al di sopra di plus li altri becomes degli altri, because di plus li becomes degli. That's a combined or an articulated preposition. Degli altri. It makes it easier to say degli altri than di li altri. It's harder, okay? So there's an element of that as well. Those changes help the spoken and the written language to flow more easily. Right, let's see where we've got to, because that is non è la fine. Non la è, no. Let's go from the beginning again. Imparate a fare silenzio sulla vita degli altri. So learn to be quiet about other people's lives. Occupatevi della vostra. So just focus on your own. It isn't literally to focus, because that would be concentrarsi, focus yourself. But occuparsi is to take care of, or to busy yourself, or to occupy yourself with. Okay, so just like in English we'd say focus on your own life, or busy yourself with your own life. Della vostra, la vostra means la vita, your life. Non abbiate, so that's the negative imperative in the voi form of the verb avere. Don't be convinced, or don't have the conviction of being better, or of being able to judge. So here in this poter giudicare, we are losing the final E from that verb to be able. That happens sometimes because you have an infinitive verb followed by another infinitive verb. Potere giudicare. Potere giudicare. There must be a rule there. It happens sometimes. Especially with that verb poter. Saper. I'm trying to think of other examples. There are other places where that happens, and the final E of an infinitive verb will be dropped. And it's not always when it's followed by an infinitive. Sometimes it's in like poems or songs, but here it happens to be followed by another infinitive. Don't be convinced of being able to judge. Okay? Okay. Because perché le più grandi fregature, because the greatest scams or the greatest frauds nascono sempre, always hide by, or are hidden by, I think we might use the passive, are hidden by, or hide behind, dall'essere troppo sicuri. What we have here is we have the preposition da, which means by or from, to be hidden by something, to be written by someone, or to be sent from someone. Da translates as from or by, okay, as a preposition. But then we have D-A-double-L apostrophe, and then this masculine noun, un essere, dall'essere. So if it was the being, it would be l'essere, comme ça. But we've got da plus L apostrophe. So what happens here is we add an extra L, dall'essere, and we retain the apostrophe that would be there if it was just l'essere, the being. By the being has another L. And that happens with all combined prepositions that precede a noun that starts with a vowel. So whether it's masculine or feminine. Okay, so dal, nel, al, sul, del. Okay, so sorry if it's not very easy to see, but we've got dal, double L apostrophe, nel, that's from the preposition in, apostrophe, A double L apostrophe, S-U double L apostrophe, D-E double L apostrophe. So that's from the preposition da, or from or by. Nel comes from the preposition in. I'll just write this down here. I am kind of like, what's the word? Kind of improvising a bit because I had to travel out here and I didn't have the space to bring all my equipment. Oh, what is that pen? We get, buttiamo giù. Let's throw that one away. So that's from the preposition da, that's from the preposition in, so that changes quite a lot to nel. Preposition a, in means in, inside of something. A means to, I'm going to somewhere, or it could mean at, like I am at the park. Su means on, and del is from the preposition di, which can mean of or from, or it could be like possessive as well. Which kind of means of, like the house of my cousin, for example. La casa del mio cugino, or la casa della mia cugina. Okay, so where did we get to? Right. Without la lavagna, without my whiteboard, I'm using lots of bits of paper. Non vi preoccupate, don't worry, I will reuse the back parts of them and they will be recycled. I'm not wasteful. Generally, okay? So, perché le più grandi fregature nascono sempre dell'essere, D-E-double-L apostrophe essere, troppo sicuri, who are too confident. Again, there's an I at the end. When you're talking in general, that often happens, even if it looks like it should agree with un essere. I've got to look into that and explain it. Sempre convinti, same thing again, an I at the end of the adjective. When you're talking generally. Convinced of being un essere, scusa, non un essere, di essere, of being. Oh, I've just realised that here being translates as being too, behind a being who is too confident. The word being as in the noun, and here we happen to have the present continuous, or the gerund form, if you like, of the verb, but in English both the word being. Convinced of being un gradino is a step, al di sopra, above or ahead of, as we say in English, of the others, ahead of others. We wouldn't always say in English of the others. If it's generic, like general, or he thinks he's one step ahead of other people, or just of others, then we would just say of others. But, if we had like two groups of people, these ones and those ones, these ones are doing well, the others are not doing well, then we would use the article the in front of them because they're sort of specific. This one as opposed to those ones. So we don't always use the word the in English, but you will have to use li in it in Italian generally. Okay, in any event, it's really worth, there is one more bit, there's one more bit, I haven't forgotten it. It's worth knowing and practicing articles. Il, la, el apostrofo, lo, li, le. Okay, I'm practicing them with Italian words because you will hear them and see them everywhere. And they might be combined with prepositions to become things like dalla, nella, al, ai, agli, etc. You don't have to worry about them. Be aware of what they are. It'll help you to, especially when you're reading it, you'll go, oh, look, what's that weird word? Oh, it's a combined or an articulated preposition. So the last little bit. Ma dove? Where have I put it? Where have I put it? The last little bit is an imperative saying siate umili. Be humble. Be humble, guys. E solo allora, and only then, sarete, you will be, or will you be, grandi. Great. So, let's have a think about this. Learn to be silent or to be quiet about the lives of others. Don't talk about other people's lives, because the greatest scams or frauds hide behind a person or a being who is too confident. It's true. Well, it's sometimes true. A volte. Always convinced of being a step above or a step ahead of others, the others. Read through that quite quickly. Siate umili, be humble, e solo allora sarete grandi, and only then will you be, or you will be great. Okay, right. Siate is like it's the imperative here, the imperative of the voi form of the verb to be, right? But it also looks the same as the subjunctive congiuntivo. Okay, look into that if you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it for now, because that's a whole thing on its own. E solo allora, and only then. Allora can translate as then, as in like a point in time, temporal sort of marker, or it can mean so, or well then, that kind of thing. So allora is quite useful. Sarete is the similar, because it's got this S at the start. It's one of the conjugations of essere. It's the voi form in the future tense, il futuro. So if you think of the song Que sera, sarà, which is actually Spanish, sarò, sarei, sarò, sarai, scusa, sarà, saremmo, sarete, saranno. So if you look at the, like a conjugation in the future tense of the verb essere, I'm looking over here, but this is where I should be looking, scusatemi. If you look at essere in the future tense, you'll find that that's the voi form. So present tense, imperative, be humble, and only then will you be grandi. That's that word grande, great, the adjective, but it's got the I at the end because it's addressing a voi. Okay? Right, so it's quite a long video. I'm sorry it's all a little bit weird and I'm using strange resources, but I hope you can hear me okay. The main thing is that you can actually read what I'm doing and that you can hear me okay. So this is for club members, by the way. I will be sending out this handout via email later. Just bought myself one of these tablets. Yeah. Quite good to use, quite good. It doesn't have any ports, so it takes a while to email or use Bluetooth, but that's what will be sent to you. So on there we also have the conjugation in the present tense, the indicative, not the subjunctive, of the verb imparare, which means to learn. So we have imparo, impari, impara, impariamo, we are learning. Imparate, that's what you've got right at the beginning. Learn, you guys, voi, imparate, learn. And imparano. So that's a very useful verb, and as I mentioned, next time, la prossima volta, we're going to look at a lovely, lovely poem which I just found so moving, and we have this notion of kind of learning. We have the presence of that verb, imparare, okay? So I'm just going to say, come si dicono, how are these things said in Italiano? So these are tre verbi. To judge, to judge. Do you remember what that is? Giudicare, giudicare. So you'll see that verb linked to, for example, la giustizia, justice. Judgment, the judge of like a court, to judge, or judgment, all those kind of words linked to that, they have this ju sound. G-I-U. Soft G when there's an I following it. G-U, ju. And it rhymes with più. Più e giù. P-I-U, più. There's a little grab accent on that. Più. And that's the word more. Più grande means greater or taller or bigger or whatever. Okay, the next, so giudicare is to judge. To hide, that's quite a weird sounding verb. So, nascono, nascondere, nascondere, nascondere. I'll write it down for you. Nascondere, to hide. Look that verb up. Okay, and nascosto is the past participle, hidden or hid, depending on whether you're using it actively or passively. Okay, because often there are like two past participles in English as opposed to Italian, where there's often just like one. So nascosto can be I hid or it was hidden. Okay. Right, what was the other one? There was one more verb that I wanted to mention. Come si dice? Ah, yeah. To busy or to occupy. Now that's quite similar, like the cognate is, I need to look there. Sorry about that, I keep looking at myself rather than that. What was the verb? Ah, sì. Occupare. To be occupied or to busy something, but if it's reflexive as it is in here, it's occuparsi, to take care of, or to occupy yourself, or to busy yourself, or there must be other translations. If you're not sure, I would just say go on to wordreference.com, must have it open somewhere in the browser, occuparsi. And then if you, to occupy, to take up, to, I know we want the reflexive version, to deal with, to handle, take care of, to mind, like mind your own business, to watch, it can also mean prendersi cura di, like to take care of something, to occupy, busy. Look that verb up anyway, occupare or occuparsi, and you'll find some examples of uses, different uses that you use for different contexts, often followed by the preposition di. Okay? So there you go. Grazie mille. Grazie mille. Alla prossima volta. Ciao, ciao. Take care. And I'll probably be back in the UK next time. Ciao.